Hello everyone, good evening, good afternoon or good morning depending on where you're watching me from. Welcome to another episode of Japa Series. It's Ngozi and I'm so excited to have you here today, and I really appreciate every one of you who have been supporting our channels, those of you who have been watching, and sharing the links, commenting, engaging in all our platforms. I really want to use this opportunity to appreciate you all. And for the new viewers, if this is your first time, kindly subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell so that you always know when we post any update and all that. So another thing is for you to engage. The best way for me to respond to you quickly is by sending, dropping your comments in the comment section. That is easier for me. And then we have another thing we call the VIP, and in our VIP group we are specifically adding those who are very active on our platforms and who are sharing our links and all that. So like I say, if you carry the broadcast on your head, we'll carry you like Gala, will also carry you along. So thank you very much and welcome everyone. Today we're going to be looking at Japan visa, particularly the one that is called short-term visa, or better still, I want to just look at conference visa. A lot of people have inboxed me, sending me messages, how can we use conference to travel to Japan? And I don't know, somehow it might be applicable to other countries, but not entirely. So everything I'm going to be talking about now is centered around conference visa for Japan. So now let's go into it. Now the first step to take is to have at least, for the conference visa, have at least not less than $3,000 for this process. But that's not actually the main thing. So the first thing to do is to find a suitable conference. Okay, now depending on your field, if you're a business person, you're not left out, and if you're a worker, you're also not left out. Everything has to do with what you are currently doing, or your past experience, or maybe your academic background. Whatever it is that you want to use, it has to connect to it has to align with the conference you are going for. So the first thing is for you to go to the internet, go to your browser and search for conferences in your field. For example, if you are into maybe environmental or health and safety or something like that, you go to the internet and type it. Maybe you type conference in environmental or health and safety field, conferences in electrical engineering field. A lot of conferences, especially you also put 2026 if you are targeting this year. So you will see a lot of conferences that will hold in different countries by different associations, maybe from your field. So those conferences will just be rolled out like this. When you go to the Google and type, you're going to see a lot of it. So you can start to check one by one. The one that's particularly, because we're looking at Japan, so I'm going to put it this way. For example, you want to attend a conference and your field is food safety. So you can go to the internet and type food safety conference in Japan for 2026. So when you type it this way, you're going to see different food safety conferences that we hold in Japan this year. Okay, so I don't know, maybe some would have happened before, we're already in April. So just type it and then look out for the ones that probably we start maybe will be around maybe June, July, down to December. So because we're looking at 2026, that's the example I'm giving. So when you eventually find it, the next thing you do is to apply, like register for the conference. Now this is where your money starts to be needed, because for your registration you're going to pay a registration fee to attend the conference. Now it's also important I let you know that if you're a student, then there's usually a lesser fee, lesser amount or discount. There's usually a discount for students. So if you're a student, I'm sure you will see a student fee that will be lesser. For example, if the conference is saying 70 yen for Japan currency, maybe, or let's say for example 200 yen, maybe for students it might be 70. And then there's another discount that is being given to early birds. That means those that register on time, way ahead of the month of the conference. So you can also check for the early birds, and if you're not a student, you can register as an early bird, and that means early enough to be able to So that's the first amount you pay. So having paid your registration fee, you're going to get an invitation letter. Now, this invitation letter is very important. Without this invitation letter, you will not even talk about applying for the visa. And then you, when you get this invitation letter, some organizers also give what is called guarantors letter. Not all organizers, not all conferences, but some organizers or some conferences actually issue, apart from the invitation letter, actually issue what is called guarantors letter. This is also a good one because it will help your visa application also. Now that you've secured the invitation letter, because sometimes people think that when you want to use when you want to travel to a country, that you only need the invitation letter when you are going to visit somebody. But no, if you're going for a conference, you will need an invitation letter. So now that we have these invitation letters, now again, the registration fees for most conferences, especially in Japan, is usually between 50k to 70k yen, which is approximately in naira between 800,000 naira and 1 million naira. So these are, at least the first set of funds you may need to spend. Now, having gotten your invitation letter, I just needed to say that. So because someone might be thinking, oh, because I mentioned 70,000 that is fixed. No, it's not fixed. So there are different, depending on the conference. Now, the next thing to talk about are the documents you need. Of course, the very first document you will always need when you want to travel is your international passport. You have to get your international passport. Make sure your international passport is still valid. It's not about to expire and can still be useful at least. So international passport. Then you would now need the invitation letter. And if you have the guarantors letter, if you were given, if you were not given, then you can carry on with the invitation letter. Then you will need a proof of employment. For example, if you are a worker in Nigeria, of course, you will need to get a letter from your employer. Remember that this conference has to relate with your field, what you're doing, right? So you need to get a letter from your current employer, telling the employer to write you a letter that shows that, okay, you are actually going for the conference and they are actually in support of it. Aside this letter, you will also at least need a proof, maybe your employment letter, to show and at least specifically prove that you are a worker. But if you're a business owner, there's also another thing for you. If you're a business owner, you need a CAC, at least an evidence that you are working, so that you own a business. And you also need a tax clearance certificate. Of course, this can always be gotten. So if you are a business owner, you want to use a conference as a means of travel, then make sure your business is registered and make sure you have a tax clearance certificate. If you need that and you don't have any, if you don't know how to do it, you can drop a comment in the comment section that you don't know how to get your tax clearance certificate, or you want to get your business registered and you don't know how to do it. I'm going to direct you to the agent that will do it for you. Then you also need an account statement. Now, if you're a worker, your salary must be consistently reflecting on your statement of account, meaning that every month, at least, you're going to show the embassy your 3 months, the last 3 months account statement. And for each of those months, your salary must reflect on the bank statement. And remember, like I said, at least you will need not less than 5 million naira to also be visible in your account. So all these are things we put into consideration. The salary that is coming in, of course, as the immigration officers, they are going to try to think, oh, this person that has this kind of money, like 5 million naira, how did it come into the person's account? So make sure your account has always even been busy, even before you receive the salary, to be able to ensure that, okay, for them to be satisfied that, okay, your accounts can actually afford the kind of money they will see. Because if they just get to see a lump sum that just dropped into your account, like 5 million naira, there will be a little bit of doubt on their own end, thinking how the money just came in. So ensure that the 5 million naira is what you've always had since, and then your salary will always still reflect on the months, on each of the months you are presenting. I don't know if that is clear, but if that is not clear, I'm going to bring out time and talk about. I'm going to make a separate video around proof of fund. Then the next thing is your certificate of origin. Now, it's just quite important for you to be able to prove that yes, you have your international passport, but just put another document that still convinces them that you are a Nigerian and you are even from this. I think it's called a certificate of origin, which is usually gotten from your own local government area. So you can get that also. Then you need strong tie. What is called strong tie is something that will convince the immigration officer that you are here to that you are going for the conference, not just to relax, but you're not running away from Nigeria, but there are things or people or reasons why you are trying to convince them that you're not running away from Nigeria. They must have this strong reason, and that's what we call strong tie. For example, if you're married, you need to attach your marriage certificate. That means probably you're going alone for the conference. So you have to show them, oh, I'm married. This is my marriage certificate. And my wife is still going to stay back in Nigeria. If you have kids, you need to also submit their birth certificates. That is also like proving to them that, okay, I'm going for this conference, but I'm not running away from Nigeria, because after all, here are my kids. These are their birth certificates, okay? Some people can even go to the extent of attaching their kids' pictures just to prove that they are not running away. Another document is landed property. If you have a landed property, it's not compulsory, but if you have it, it's also a good document to present as evidence of strong tie. So you can put your landed property in papers. And if you also have houses, you can put the houses paper. So now another thing we are going to look at, now that we have finished getting these documents and we're ready to apply for visa, then we apply for visa. So the next thing to do is, for example, after the conference, let's assume that the reason why you want to go to attend this conference is specifically for your own personal growth. But aside that, if you also have the intention of working and schooling in Japan, this video is also to let you know that it is possible for you to change your conference visa to visit visa. Let me stop calling it conference visa, because you're not going to see any visa that will say conference visa, but it's just a conference means of traveling. But actually I'm supposed to say maybe short visit visa or maybe tourist visa. Now for you to actually swap it or change it to student or work visa, when you are going for your student visa, at least you will get like up to 2 years. Sorry, for work visa, at least 2 years visa will be given to you. Now, the standard way of doing this is for you to first get a job. So what I would advise you to do, if you want to go to the conference, I just want to let you know that when you get to the conference, you have roughly, for the conference, you have only between 15 to 90 days, depending on what the visa says. Most likely between, although some people can actually apply for extension if they still have a need to stay behind. But then the first thing to do is to understand that in Japan, a conference visa is a subcategory of the temporary visitors visa, okay? And as of 2026, the Japanese Immigration Service Agency maintains a strict rule that you cannot generally change a temporary visa from status to long-term, status, like for student or work, without leaving Japan. But there is a but, However, there is a specific legal bridge, so it is possible. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There is this legal bridge called the Certificate of Eligibility that can sometimes make a change of status possible while you're still in Japan. So I'm advising that before you even take this step, you have to plan it even before you leave Nigeria. Now, to switch to work visa, maybe whatever kind of job, you must have a job offer from a Japanese company. So first of all, the standard way is to find a job. The company applies for you, and then the company will now apply for that certificate of eligibility while you are still in that Japan for your conference, So once that certificate of eligibility is issued, it usually takes within 1 to 3 months. So you're technically even supposed to have to fly home, to be able to exchange the COE, which is the certificate of eligibility, for a visa, a work visa at an embassy when you return. But the in-country exception, because the one I mentioned now is the one that you do outside Japan, like come for the conference, get a job within the 3 months that you're there for the conference, and then leave. By the time you're leaving, the company that you got a job with is already processing your COE, which usually takes also between 1 to 3 months. So you must have gone out of Japan, and when that is now issued, you go to the embassy, go back to the embassy and use it to apply for, work visa, which of course they will give to you. But if you are still in Japan and you want to get the visa while still in Japan, now if your COE, luckily for you, it gets approved before your conference ends, because remember that this conference is actually at most, the conference visa is at most 3 months. And at the same time, this COE, supposing you've even gotten a job, it will still take between 1 to 3 months for the COE to be issued, right? Just like what we explained. So if it comes out before your conference, sorry for calling it conference visa, but let me just be calling for the purpose of this video, because I know you understand what I'm saying. So if it comes out even before your conference visa expires, then good for you. You can immediately go to, to their home office and apply for a change of status of residence. Okay. Now, another option is for you to get an admission, right? That's another option for you to get an admission. So if you want to stay in Japan, for example, to further maybe your master's, or you want to go for, whatever, during that period of conference, then the best thing for you to have even done is for you to have gotten the admission right from Nigeria before even going for the conference, for you to have applied before going. A school at least should have accepted you, Now, this school now acts as your proxy to apply for the student COE. Now, somebody is going to say, but why, since I already applied at the school and maybe I got an admission, why then do I need to, go for, use conference again? Well, somebody else might say, what if with my school admission I don't get visa? So that's why some people will still prefer, yes, I've gotten the school admission, but I don't want to use it to apply for the visa. So at least the school is already, processing my COE before I even think of traveling for the conference, so that even while you're already there and your COE is there already, it becomes very easy for you to, change it. So that's because the student's COE takes, often take longer to process than the duration of the conference. So if your conference visa expires before the COE arrives, you must leave, Japan. So that's why it's very important to at least get your student your admission, then let them start to process it. And when you see that, okay, you've almost spent like 3 months after the admission, while waiting for it, you can now do the conference visa and travel with it. Then with that, you can change, while already in Japan, you can change it to, study visa. So that's what a lot of people also do. Now, coming to that aspect of, proof of fund for study visa, we're going to talk about that, because it's actually going to take more than what we mentioned initially. Because initially we said if you're going for a conference, you need at least 3,000, not less than 3,000. But when we are now trying to convert it to study visa, you have to show a proof of fund, at least not less than 2 million yen. If you convert it to naira, you will know what that will amount to. You need not less than 2 million yen to show that you have enough money to study. Okay, so when you're already there and you know that you want to change to study visa while you're already in Japan, also bear it in your mind that you will need to show your bank statement, meaning that if that is your own plan or your own means of going, then the best thing for you to do is to have prepared your account even before you leave Nigeria. Your account will no longer just be showing the 3,000 for the conference. Your account should show more, because when you get to Japan after the conference, you have the intention of staying, right? Now, if it is for work visa, you don't really have to do that. But again, there are many people who do this within the 3 months of, the conference visa. Some people actually use that 3 months to job hunt, so that when they have found a company that will accept them, they will travel out back to Nigeria. So that means if the COE does not come out before their conference visa expires, they will travel back to Nigeria and still wait for the COE, because this company has agreed to give you a job. So eventually they're already processing your COE. So means that while you're still in Nigeria, while you're already back in Nigeria, when the COE is ready, they are going to send it to you, and then you use it to go back to apply. So the essence of this whole thing is that when you use conference visa to have access into Japan, you can also have the opportunity to use that, at least your physical presence, to job hunt, which is also a good thing. So if you ask me, I would say that is even way cheaper than using the student visa. So this is where I want to draw the curtain for today, and I hope you understand everything I said. If you have questions, you should drop your questions in the comment section. But I also want to warn you, do not overstay. Japan recently introduced the JESTA, which is called the pre-screening system, and a zero illegal stay policy. So do not overstay your visa. Even if your visa change is in process, your current visa must be valid. If your conference visa is about to expire, you must apply for an extension or leave. So ask questions. When you're already there, depending on your situation, you can talk to a lawyer and ask the person, this is my situation, can I get an extension? And if you're advised by a legal if you have been advised by a lawyer not to extend it, or it's not possible, or whatever, that you should leave, then I think you should leave, so that it doesn't affect your potential or maybe future applications. So increased fees as of the 2026 fiscal year, change of status fees have also increased. So I also need you to, because I remember that I've not said some of these things, that's why I still had to continue talking. So yes, change of status fee has now increased. Before it was lesser, but now it has increased to the point that you could pay closer to 10,000, from 10,000 to between 10,000 to 20,000 for the processing. So I might still say that it is better you travel back. At least you've job hunted and most likely gotten a job, and they are preparing your COE. So I think the best bet is for you to travel back, so you don't have to even pay huge amount of money in order to go back. So if you're attending a conference in Japan soon, first apply for the school if you want to use school before you land in Japan, like I explained before. If it is for a job, have the company start the COE application immediately you get the job. If it is for school, also ensure you write the school to start your COE processing of results. For the visa, they should start it so before you even travel. So if the COE is ready while you are at the conference, and you can visit the immigration office in Tokyo, or anyone, to change your status. So this is all I have for you today. So I believe with these points, I'm able to explain to you clearly how you can be able to use the conference visa to go to Japan. I'm going to make such video for other countries. That is one. I'm going to make a separate video for proof of fund, because I have a lot of things to say concerning proof of funds, and the ones that can be acceptable and the ones that are not acceptable. Now, I would like you to go back to my videos and watch again the ones you've missed, and try again to share the videos. Don't leave them, don't just watch and not share. And now go to the comment section and tell me the next topic you want us to be treating. This topic was requested by someone for me to talk about. I have so many topics and I have so many kinds of visas to talk about, and this particular one was inspired by someone. So I would like you to go to the comment section and ask your questions drop the kind of topics you want us to handle, or the kind of whatever we say that is not very clear that you want us to talk about, and I am always going to be available to answer you. Yes, I may not be as consistent in posting as I intended to initially, but believe me, I will always make videos. So click the notification bell so that immediately I drop the video, you will be the first to be notified. Thank you for watching.